Hey everyone, welcome to this fully immersed hands-on course. It will be accelerated. We're building Telephony Voice AI solutions, and the first thing you want to do is create a Twilio account, and this involves you paying for a phone number as well. So if you haven't done that, go ahead and do so. I'll walk you through the process here. So the first thing we're going to do is head over to Continue with Trial. Now complete the first part of the onboarding process. Here, it says you need 3 things to use Twilio with most third-party applications: account, SID, and auth token, Twilio phone number, and here it says an upgraded Twilio account. So we will have to end up upgrading our account if you did opt for the trial. At this point, I've copied these credentials, but I will have to upgrade. These are the credentials that you'll need. So let's get started. Hey everyone, you're here with Dr. Full Stack. So the first thing you want to do is head over to your Twilio account and make sure that you have your credentials saved somewhere where you can remember. So here I'm going to save my account credentials. This includes my account SID, which I'll copy here, as well as my auth token, which I'll copy here. Lastly, you could copy this phone number, but if you have multiple phone numbers, you may want to copy a different one. I'm just going to copy the phone number I have here for Twilio. Awesome. So we're going to replicate these steps in the LiveKit console. So if you've already created a LiveKit account at this point, what you'll do is head over to Project, and if you head over to Settings and then API Keys, you click on the API key and you'll see all of your credentials there. Click on Reveal Secret and you'll see everything that you need except for one, and I'll show you where that is. So paste these 3 credentials somewhere safe. We're talking about your LiveKit URL, your LiveKit API key, and your LiveKit API secret. You'll be able to find your SIP URI, and this is important. So save that somewhere safe. Head over to OpenAI, head to your OpenAI console, and save that somewhere safe as well so that you're able to build your voice AI agent as we have here. If you already have a MongoDB account, then that's awesome. If you need to create one, then you can. If you want to persist data, that is not necessary for this tutorial. Those are the credentials that I'm utilizing. So at this point, I'm going to head over to integrate everything that I need between LiveKit and Twilio so that my phone voice AI agent will work and be able to take in inbound calls. Let's get started. Telephony agents. First, we need to create an SIP trunk. After we've created our SIP trunk, and that's going to happen within Twilio, we're going to have to configure our SIP trunk. Now, configuring the SIP trunk, essentially, you're setting up the origination URL, and this is going to determine what's happening during the inbound as well as outbound calls. So we'll need to create an SIP trunk for both inbound and outbound calls. Next, we're going to have a phone number, and if you don't have one, you can purchase one. That phone number now needs to be associated with the SIP trunks that we trunk SID and phone number SID are included in the output of the previous steps. If you didn't copy the SIDs, you can list them using the following command. And here it's just saying Twilio phone numbers. Configure a SIP trunk using the Twilio UI, not programmatically, right? It's not using the API here. It's saying go to the actual Twilio console, purchase a phone number, create an SIP trunk, select Elastic SIP trunking, manage, then trunks, and that'll allow us to create an SIP trunk. It mentions that for inbound calls, navigate to voice, manage, origination connection policy, and create an origination connection policy. Select the policy you just created and set the origination SIP URI to SIP, your SIP you're going to put in there, and then enter our LiveKit account. Okay, so for outbound calls, more or less we're going to do something pretty similar, but in this case, we're going to copy the termination SIP URI, and that's going to allow us to use that when we create an outbound trunk. This is the trunk that's getting set up in LiveKit, not the trunk that's getting set up in Twilio. So here we have an inbound trunk.json. So we're going to reference this file. It's going to take this code and it's going to register the inbound trunk to our particular project. Create a dispatch rule. So we need to set up at least one dispatch rule to accept incoming calls into a LiveKit room. And here's a simple setup. Similar to this, we're going to use the LiveKit CLI, and that should allow us to now we need to set up an outbound trunk with LiveKit. So here it says create an outbound trunk to make outgoing phone calls with LiveKit. Create a temporary JSON file with your outbound trunk configuration. This example creates an outbound trunk with the phone number, and it has a random phone number there, and the trunk domain name, my trunk domain name. So here's the JSON configuration. You'd probably just save that in a folder, and then using the LiveKit commands, we want to reference that folder, right? So you're going to need the LiveKit CLI for that. So now here says, now you're ready to place outgoing calls. And then it explains how to go ahead and do that. But that's not what you're interested in. You want to set up the actual infrastructure. So I hope that explains full stack or desk AI. So FULLSTACK DESK AI.com. Provide a hands-on explanation as to how to do each step. Let me know if you have any questions and join my Discord if you haven't done so. Okay, so let's go ahead and create an account. Here, I'm going to enter my details. Okay, once you've entered all of your credentials, you can continue. Here, I'm going to put the name of my company. I'll put in my role and the size of my team. So here you can confirm your details, and I'll hit create account. Awesome. So my account has been created. Here, I'm prompted to log in, which I'll do. Awesome. So here it wants your legal first name and legal last name, just because you're going to be integrating Twilio, which is a phone call telephony service. That way you're not spamming the world. So here I'm going to enter my legal name here. So I'll enter my email. Here I'm going to enter my phone number. Here I'm going to enter my location. Sorry. Okay. Okay, so now I'll click next. Here I'll enter my age group. Following that, I'll enter what I do. So here, I'll say professional engineer, and then the industry that you're in. I'm in technology. Now I'm being asked which use case I'm most interested in. Right now, I'd like for my agent to cold call. Here, I am familiar with one-click deploy, NNN, FlowWise, and model context profiles, as well as LangChain. I do know Zapier as well. Okay, so I'm going to go with OpenAI and Claude as well as Gemini. And we're almost done here, so okay. So if you've gotten to this part of the screen, what you're going to want to do is watch the full video and then hit Start Tutorial. This is just a tutorial. It's not with your real data. It's just so that you know how to utilize the actual tool. So let's go ahead and start tutorial. Here, you're going to enter your LiveKit credentials. Here, you're going to enter your Twilio account credentials. So let's click that there. And it'll autofill, so don't you worry about it. I'll click next. Here, Twilio auth token. Awesome. I'll click next. Here, your Twilio phone number. I'll click that. Click next. Next, you're going to enter your LiveKit project URL. You should have already copied and pasted somewhere safe at this point. So I'll click that. Click next. I'll click that. Remember, these aren't real values. This is just so that you understand how to utilize the actual tool once you get over there. Think of it as a demo wizard. So we'll hit next. Click here. Next. And your LiveKit SIP URI, if you're not sure where that is, if you head over to your LiveKit console and then click on settings, you should see it there under your project details. So here, I'll click here. Click next, and then a name to give your agent. Let's click next, and then your OpenAI API key. If you're not using OpenAI, then you can just skip this step. Awesome. So here we can select the model we want to use for OpenAI. Here we can choose a voice, and then we can give it a system prompt. Amazing. And the setup's complete. Okay, so once you've successfully signed up, you should see this page, and this will allow us to streamline through this integration pretty quickly. So I'm going to go ahead and enter each of these credentials so that we can continue with this tutorial. Here, they're requesting for our Twilio account SID. So here, I'm going to paste that. Next, they're asking for our Twilio auth token. I'll subsequently paste that here. Now they're asking for the Twilio phone number. Well, this is the phone number that the agent is going to utilize. So I'll put that phone number there. At this point, we'll move over to the right side, and they're asking for our LiveKit project URL. I'll go ahead and paste that there. Next, they're asking for our LiveKit SIP URI. I'll go ahead and paste that here. Subsequently, they're asking for our API key. I'll go ahead and paste that here. And now, finally, they're asking for our API secret from LiveKit. I'll paste that here. At this point, you can hit the button Save Credentials. Awesome. So my credentials have been saved, And now I can proceed to the next step. They're going to ask us for the Twilio trunk setup. Now during this portion, I'm going to go ahead and enter what I want my trunk name to be. So I'm going to say Live Telephony Agent Trunk. Then I'll click the button Execute Step. Awesome. So here I'm given my trunk SID. You can copy that somewhere if you'd like. Next, I'm given an inbound trunk name, and that's the trunk name that I assigned. We're going to go ahead and click Next. You can save this somewhere if you'd like. Here, we're just confirming the phone number that we're going to utilize. And this is the phone number that we entered earlier. So we'll go ahead and click Execute Step. Now, during this step, it essentially is going to assign that inbound trunk to this phone number. So I'll click Execute Step. Amazing. So this step has now been completed successfully, and I'll click the Next button. Here, you should see the LiveKit SIP URI that you've entered earlier. If that's incorrect, then change it to the correct one. At this point, I'm going to click the Execute Step button. Amazing. So that has been configured and integrated into Twilio at this point. There's just a few more steps left and we're done. During this step, we're going to create our LiveKit trunk configuration. So here, I'll say Live Telephony Agent Trunk. And then I'll click Execute Step. Amazing. So our trunk has been created successfully. Now I'll click Next. Here, I'm going to be asked to create what's called a dispatch rule. So for the dispatch rule, I'll say Live Telephony Dispatch Rule. Then I'll click Execute Step. Amazing. So we've now created a dispatch. So we're almost all the way done. The last step here that we're going to do is configure the actual agent. So I'll go ahead and click Next. And now we have our agent configuration. If you haven't done so, enter your OpenAI credentials here. You can skip that if you're not utilizing OpenAI. Here you can name the actual agent. I'm going to name mine mgraph-telephony-agent. You can choose a personality or leave it out. We'll be able to configure that later on. And the voice that you'd like to use for now. And then the AI model. So just go with 4.0 for now. And we'll be able to customize that when we're playing around with the code later on. But I like to just go with the defaults here. Now also you can enter your own system prompt. I'm going to click You are a documentation and journal assistant. When you answer the phone call, be polite and document everything needed for projects, appointments, or meeting summaries. Okay, so I'm just going to give it a name here. Your name is Dr. Fullstack. Okay, so here I'll go ahead and click the Execute Step button. Wonderful. And let's go next. And the setup is actually complete. So our configuration has been set up. You should now be sent to the dashboard, and the dashboard will show you all of your call analytics. That way you can see how the agent's doing and some quick options there. So let's go confirm that everything has been created successfully. All right, so I'm going to go with the journal entries documentation template since it's the easiest, and I want to pretty much build the telephony agent as soon as possible. So I'll select here, head down, purchase now, and I'll complete this purchase here. Okay, so amazing. So now I have access to the source code, and I'm going to immediately download this. Okay, so here I've went ahead and unzipped the zip file there. This is the extracted folder, and if you go in there, you'll see two separate folders. One is for the back end and the other is for the front end. So we can go ahead and shift those to my desktop just so that I can see them separately. You can keep them in the same folder if you'd like, it's up to you. And I'm going to go ahead and drag each of those to the code editor. The front end portion. This is the back end portion of the code. So let's go ahead and get the back end started up. So with the back end portion of the code, we're going to be able to see that we have a few folders here. We have the source folder, we have a public folder, and then we have a few files here. If we head over to the .env, this is where you're going to add your own credentials. Same goes for .env.local. .env.txt, you can pretty much ignore that. That's just in case you want to remember how to set up your .env environment variables when you're pushing this up to a GitHub repo. Next, we have the Docker file, and you're going to replace these .env environment variables with your own. Those are the same ones that you utilize here, but you want to prefix it with env. This is going to allow it so that when we are ready to deploy our agent, it's super fast. We've got Docker file. We don't have to craft anything ourselves, and this is pretty much a Power Pack template ready to go. Here on the agent.ts file, we see a bit of source code here. Now, we have the ability to list journal entries, get journal entries, update journal entries, delete journal entries, and then we have this helper function that ensures that everything that we call from the agent is in fact a string. If we head over to services, we have a MongoDB singleton that we created, and this essentially allows us to have all of the functions that we're calling with the agent, and we want to be able to do these while we're on the phone. So the only thing that you want to change again are those .env environment variables in both of these files, as well as the Docker file. And then additionally, in the agent.ts file, head to the bottom, and in here we're going to put something in. That something is the agent's name. So let me show you here, just 1 second. Okay, so over here, you're just going to add a comma. You want to put the agent's name, so agent name as the key, colon, and then in quotes, we're going to put the actual agent name that you used when you were integrating the LiveKit and Twilio with the wizard. At this point, I'm going to add my .env environment credentials and then hit install. Okay, so I've added my .env environment variables. Now the only thing that you also want to change is if you head over to the services folder and then the db.ts file. Well, in there, you're going to want to change the database name to whatever your actual database name is for MongoDB, or you could name a database name the same name we have here. It's up to you, but make sure you change that so that's actually speaking with your database. At this point, I've added all my credentials, and now I'm going to go ahead and install all of the dependencies. Okay, so in order to install the code needed for the backend, you're going to go ahead and run npm install -- legacy -peer -deps. So we're just giving this a little bit of time to install here. Excellent. So after the installation, you're going to run the command npm run build. And at this point, we're going to lastly run node space dist / agent .js space dev. Amazing. So our backend is running locally right now. We haven't deployed it just yet. This is the backend that we want responding to those phone calls when we call the agent. Over here, we have our backend set up. So let's go ahead and get the front end set up. For our front end code, we have quite a bit here. Here, you want to enter your .env environment variables. And similar to the backend, you can pretty much copy and paste that .env environment file. The Docker file, however, does not require you enter the .env environment variables here. It's just going to reference the .env environment files here. Other than that, the first thing I'm going to do is add my .env environment variables. Then I'm going to install the packages. So let's go ahead and change those credentials there. Excellent. So I've added all of the necessary .env environment variables. Now I'm going to install all of the dependencies. I'll type in npm install -- legacy -peer -deps. Now you can run npm install without the flags, but I just want to make sure that we're both getting the same exact setup. So I'm going to click enter. Excellent. Now, one thing that I love about this repo in particular is the fact that it comes with the transcript. A lot of the front-end repos that I've seen out there, they actually don't have a transcript for when you and the agent are speaking. And, that's just something that I like. Now, clearly, if this is a telephony solution, usually the user would be on the phone, but sometimes you want to test the agent before you go ahead and make a call to it. And that's why we have this front end here, just for testing purposes, and so that you can see some of those results when the actual person and the agent are speaking. So here, let's go ahead and run the front end with the command npm run dev. Marvelous. So we'll open that up here. Okay, so here's the UI. Let's get in there. And these are the journal entries. So let's go ahead and place a call to the agent to make sure that we can actually speak with the agent. Excellent. So let's go ahead and enter a phone number. I don't really have to put a +1 in front of here, but I will. And I'll hit the call button. But first, I want you guys to see what happens with the code base so that you know that your agent is at least connecting to Twilio.
to help with requests. Is there anything else today?
Hey, can you hear me well?
Yes, I hear you well. How can I assist you today?
Awesome. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.
It was a pleasure speaking with you too. I'll Mr. Drake know that we spoke. See you soon. Bye.
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 Excellent. So the reason why you heard a little bit of choppiness there is because we haven't deployed the agent yet, but the agent is in fact working, and we went through the entire process automated. Base. We can look at the terminal here, and you're going to see a change when I click the actual button. So when I click the call button, there's a change.
Hello, I'm Dr. Help you, boss.
Hey there, create a journal entry about all the amazing things I can do with a voice AI agent that's able to document, create projects for me, and journal all my thoughts and goals.
I created the journal entry titled All Amazing Things in This AI Agent. How can I assist you?
Amazing. So I was able to talk to the voice AI agent. Now, as you noticed, it was really choppy there, and that's because we haven't deployed it. See, these instances weren't made to be running locally on your computer. So we're going to deploy this really easily, and then you'll see the quality difference. We also want to make sure that the agent was in fact able to create a journal entry. I head in there. Amazing. So here, this is the journal entry that was created by the agent during our conversation, and we can tell that the agent's working. So let's go ahead and deploy this so that we can see the difference between running locally and production. So I just went ahead and created a repo called Journal Telephony Agent, and that's where I'm going to push up my code just as you normally would. So here, let me head back to my code base, and I'm referring to the back end here. So let me stop the program with Control C, and I'm going to clear this out. Okay, from here, I don't need the node modules, and I don't need this folder as of now. I do need my Docker file, and make sure that you have put the correct .env environment variables in the Docker file. I've already shown you how to do so. At this point, I'm just going to run git init. Then I'm going to run git add space dot. Then I'll run git commit -m journal voice AI telephony agent. At this point, I'm going to push this to the branch that you just saw me create. So I'll paste this here. Amazing. Now that that's been pushed to GitHub, we can go ahead and check it out. Here it is on GitHub. If I refresh, I'll see that the code base is in fact here. And now I'm going to deploy this. I have to click the button using the one-click deploy platform so that our voice AI telephony agent is live for production. Okay, so when we last left off, we went ahead and pushed our Journal Voice AI telephony agent to GitHub. Now we have our Docker file set up with our credentials in there, and we're ready to deploy this to production. So we're going to head over to the one-click deploy platform. This makes it super easy to deploy voice AI agents without the headache. So here, I already have an account. I'll sign in with my GitHub account. Okay, so this is the dashboard. I'll head over to Docker images, and from there, I'll click on build new image. So this already connects with your GitHub repo, so you should be able to find the repository. Mine is here. And for this part, we're just going to type in Docker file, just like that. For Docker image name it whatever you want. I'm going to name mine. All right, so let's go ahead and click the start button there. And watch this build. Excellent. So our build is complete. Now there are two ways to deploy this. One way is the quickest way for production, and that's if you click deploy to production. At that point, the process is complete and you've officially deployed your backend voice AI agent. You can go ahead and place a call to it and you should be good to go. So what you're going to do is you're going to head over to Docker images. At the top there, you should be able to see your most recent agent. Copy everything here where it says Docker image URL. We'll start with the US Central and stop at the colon. So colon latest should not be copied. So we'll copy that there. Then we're going to head over to virtual vessels. From there, we're going to click on new deployment. We're going to name this Journal AI. You can name yours whatever you want. Here, I'm going to select image. Don't click on any of these. Instead, paste what we copied there. So we'll click on confirm selection. And at this point, we want to paste in our .env credentials. So I'll show you just how to do that there. Next, you're going to click on parse variables. Make sure that your .env environment variables have the right name. And then we're going to click on create deployment. Everything should have been filled out by this point. We're going to confirm that deployment. Amazing. So here, you're going to be able to see the status of your deployment. It usually takes about 30 seconds, and then that should say active, and then you're ready to go. Congratulations on deploying your voice AI agent. All right, so let's go ahead and attempt to call our voice AI agent. Here, you can see the voice service that comes from Google Voice. I'm just using that so that you guys can see me make the phone call.
All right, so let's go ahead and give our voice AI agent a call. I wanted to make sure I record this on my phone as well, just because sometimes the sound isn't the best. So once I go ahead and call the voice agent, so I'll click call.
I'm Dr. Fullstack, your executive assistant, ready to assist you with various tasks. What can I help you with, boss?
Yeah, I want to create a journal entry with the goals that I have, which is to create a course on how to build Telephony Voice AI agents, push them to production, as well as use a wizard to streamline the LiveKit and Twilio integration.
I've created a journal entry with your goals for the course on how to deploy OpenAI agents. What would you like to do next, boss?
Yeah, can you tell me what we talked about today?
Today, we talked about two main topics. One, your goal to create a comprehensive course on how to deploy OpenAI agents. This includes lessons on pushing agents to production and using a wizard to streamline live chat and Twilio integration. Two, we also noted the amazing things you can do with a voice AI agent, such as documenting, creating projects, and journaling thoughts and goals. Is there anything else I can assist you with, boss?
Nothing else. You have a wonderful day. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, boss. Have a fantastic day, and I look forward to our next conversation. Talk to you soon.
And there you have it, calling the voice AI agent.